Hey guys, today's lost sector is Bunker E15 on Europa. There's going to be 3 overloads and 1 barrier. We're going to be playing Strand Titan today with Syntheseps. Looking at the build, we're going to be using any barricade with Frenzied Blade and Grapple. Grapple is going to be nice because it can generate orbs with heavy-handed, as well as gets a damage amp from Syntheseps. For the aspects, you're going to be using Into the Fray. Destroying a Tangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail for nearby allies. While you have Woven Mail, your melee regeneration rate is increased, as well as Banner of War. After getting a melee or sword kill, it will give you increased melee and sword damage. For the fragments, we're going to be using Thread of Transmutation. While you have Woven Mail, Weapon Final Blows create a Tangle. Thread of Isolation, landing rapid precision hits, emits a severing burst from the target. Thread of Warding, picking up an Orb of Power grants Woven Mail. And Thread of Fury, damaging targets with a Tangle grants melee energy. Looking at the weapons, we're going to have a hand cannon for the overloads, a 1-2 punch shotgun to help deal damage to the overloads, as well as the Lament for barriers as well as boss damage. Looking at the artifact, we're going to want overload hand cannon, as well as the tonic tangles if you have a strand hand cannon on, with elemental fury, so stun champions will take increased damage from our abilities and elemental orbs, with refreshing pickups, so when you pick up a tangle, it will give your least ability a little bit of its cooldown back, with elemental munitions. Defeating combatants with tangles has a chance to drop special or heavy ammo. Moving on to the mods, we're going to have a Solar Siphon mod on, so when we get multi-kills with the sword, we'll make orbs, as well as a hands-on mod, getting increased super energy for melee kills. On the gloves, we're going to have 2 heavy-handed mods to make the orbs a little more potent when we get melee kills. On the chest plate, we're going to have 1 of each resistance mod, since there is a fair chunk of each damage type in this lost sector. On the boots, we're going to have a recuperation, so we get 70 HP every time we pick up an orb. Absolution, so we get a little bit of reduction on all of our cooldowns when we pick up an orb. And invigoration, so we get a little bit more cooldown reduction on our melee when we pick up an orb. And on our mark, we're going to have powerful attraction, so when we use our class ability, it'll pick up all the orbs in the area. Looking at the lost sector run, there's going to be an overload right off the bat. We're going to take him out with Lament, as well as a 1-2 punch melee shot. Once we clear the rest of the enemies in this room, we'll get the doorway to open. In this second room, there will be a barrier champion in here once we kill all the enemies. Feel free to let the little helper robots out as quickly as you can. They do end up making a fairly large impact on your gameplay, though it's not essential to let them out right away. Just try your best to maintain at least 2 to 3 stacks of Banner of War. It makes it much safer for you to run around all crazy like, and it also enhances all your damage. For the overload, we're just going to do a 1-2 punch with ×4 Banner of War, and then clean them up with the Lament. If you're ever getting low in this room, feel free to just do some charged Lament strikes. Lament does heal you a little bit for the damage you deal. In the boss room, there will be 2 overloads. Once we get the boss down to a damage threshold, the first overload will spawn, and at the second damage threshold, the second overload will spawn. Once I get the boss to spawn, I like to use Lament to get the boss to its first damage threshold. Once that first champion spawns, just try to get a couple stacks of Banner of War and lure him down here to the tunnel. For this first overload, once we stun him, we're going to use our super to take him out, and then we're going to deal the rest of our super on the boss. This should get the boss nearly dead, and a quick cleanup once you kill the second overload. Once we kill this overload with our grapple and a 1-2 punch melee, we can finish off the boss. A couple swings from Lament should be enough. Once you kill the boss, you can go loot the chest. Happy farming today.